Caitlin, tell me what it means when someone says they want multiple streams of income. Tell the people. Why do the people need multiple streams of income?
COVID says it all. What's the difference between having an LLC for your business and being trademarked?
For me, I'm trying to get multiple streams of income because I'm trying to retire early. 62, can't do it.
All right. Thank you for joining us on another episode. Our third episode, to be exact, on the Stream Chasers podcast. My name is Kayla Nelson, and I have my co-host, Candace Williams. We're here to bring you an excellent topic today. For sure you all are going to love it. Everybody's going to be able to relate to it. We're going to talk about basically how can you charge your worth when it comes to being an entrepreneur. But before we get into that, Candace, tell us a little bit about what's been going on in your last 2 weeks.
So let's see. The last 2 weeks, I finished the Stream Chasers website, finally. Praise the Lord. And it's really nice. You should go check it out. www.streamchasers.work, because Stream Chasers do the work. So that's what I've been doing. How about you?
Just trying to get quality content, doing research on different podcasts, things like that. Just seeing what some of our target audience, things they like to listen to, things that they're interested in, different topics of that such. And then, of course, the thing that brings in the money in the home, Go Stretch.
Yeah.
There's always a lot of work there, but just trying to do some business stuff, getting some bank accounts cleared up.
True.
Or established on the business side of things. And then also doing some trademark stuff.
Okay, I see you.
Yep.
Trademark.
We have a special episode. A lot of times we have a lot of entrepreneurs out here that are excited and eager to jump into the game. However, they don't know what to charge. And we're all about getting the first customer. That's probably the hardest thing. So what a lot of us do is we decide to charge way less than what we're really worth. And that can become an issue in several different ways. I'm sure we're going to get into some of those today. But that's what we're going to talk about today. And we have a great guest on today that's going to be able to tell about some of her experiences and how she's dealt with charging different rates, increasing rates as an entrepreneur. Our guest today, she's been in business for over 10 years. She has her own design agency, Casey Renae Design Agency. You all may have seen that. She's worked with many popular people, the likes of Lala Anthony, Terrance J, big corporations. I'm going to let her kind of dive in and fill in any gaps that I may miss. But without further ado, let's welcome Casey Renae. We're very glad to have you on today.
Hello. Okay, to say you for the clap.
Not a problem. Solo clap. I'll do it every time.
Oh, you was little. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you. But before we get started, Casey, if you can just kind of fill in any gaps that I may have missed. I never want to overlook anyone's accolades. Last week on our episode, we were kind of taught some advice on start cheering for yourself, start championing for yourself. A lot of times we don't do it. So I never want to overlook anyone's accolades. So please feel free to fill in any gaps that I may have missed. And then also when you fill in those gaps, kind of take the Stream Chasers and the audience on a little journey of how you became an entrepreneur. Was that something that always set out in your sights? Or is that something that just kind of came, overnight one day? And it's like, hey, I think I want to do this. So if you can just kind of, give us some of your backstory.
So I definitely will hype myself. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but it's about to be the start of Women's Month in March. So I want every woman around me to just not be humble. We will go back to our humbly scheduled program in April. So for now, yes, I will unhumbly tell you about myself.
Yes.
I am Casey Renae. I am the owner and lead designer of the Snipes Design Agency. I was Casey Renae. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
I graduated from North Carolina A&T with graphic communications. Then I got my master's at the age of 22 at Savannah College of Art and Design for advertising design. I have worked with those. I'm also got an opportunity to work with the Bobby Christine Foundation, Kaleidoscope Hair Products, Yale Beauty, Uptown Magazine. So yes, and a lot of other NDAs that I can't say. But and I don't ever want to work for the man. Okay. So I solidified that on my 34th birthday this year that I would never work for the man by getting this huge forearm tattoo, and it's an Illustrator toolbar from Adobe, and I kind of put a twist to it. But I always had said to myself that once I get a crazy big tattoo, it was going to kind of like X me out from certain jobs, and I said I'm done. I'm not going back. So that was my stamp that I'm no longer working for the man, and I just go by the beat of my own drum. So, and then, your question about how did I get here? I always wanted to design. I always wanted to be a designer. One of the good things is when I was growing up, my mom, she taught kindergarten. She was a kindergarten teacher. And I used to get to go in and do the bulletin boards for her classes. Mm-hmm. So that was always a good thing. I used to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go in here. She'd be like, here are the supplies. Do your thing. Now it's so funny because I can't do DIY stuff like children's birthdays. You kill all that. Like it's done. But at the time, putting together these boards, I was typography. It was me working on a grid. It was dope to me. Mm-hmm. And then her, what is it called? See, this is how you know I don't work for somebody. What is it called when people that work with you? What is that even called?
When you get somebody to work with you?
No, what is it called? That works with you.
Your coworkers?
Coworkers. She used to get her coworkers, but no, I was really stuck. I was like, hold up. She would get her coworkers to be like, here, she could do your boards for you. So that's kind of how that grew. So I grew up. I was like, it's between I want to be an astronaut or a designer.
That's a very large gap. Just FYI.
Yeah, no. When I tell you, I could tell you some things about the astronomy, the stars, the constellations, the seas on the moon. So I took my passion for that. And I also made like this magazine when I was like 9 or 10. It was called Dateline Space. And I made business cards and everything. I had a telescope and everything. So it was like, all right, well, we here now. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to merge the two or something. I'll be in space designing. So it got to a point where I actually went to A&T. I didn't get accepted at first because I applied for the wrong major. I applied for computer science. I meant to apply for graphic design. Computer science is engineering.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know math. I don't know nothing about no math. So they was like, nah, you didn't get in. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm going to Winston-Salem. And then I was talking to somebody and they was like, I was talking to somebody at prom. I want to say like an old teacher, like Miss Osborne or somebody. She was like, yeah, reapply. That's engineering, Casey. And I was like, what? Because I got my letter saying I didn't get in on prom night.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I didn't get in. And she was like, you might want to reapply. And I was like, oh. And I went ahead and reapplied and got in.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And then I left there and then went to SCAD. So I've been designing ever since.
Okay.
Wow.
That's an interesting story on perseverance just in that. Because I'm going to tell you something. If Dad told me no, that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, and I never knew that was such a thing that once you get rejected that you can apply in, like in the same semester.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got to reply. I was like, I didn't mean to do it. That was the wrong major. I had it wrong. XYZ. I was like, I ain't trying to be nobody engineer. I don't know nothing about this. True. And they were like, oh, okay. And I got in.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, that is. So thank you for that background. like I said, we like to set the frame for all of the listeners, just so they know like who they're listening to and the worth that you have and the knowledge that you're going to be sharing today, that they can actually take it and apply it. So kind of diving into the whole topic that we have at hand. First, if you can kind of, on the beginning of your journey, I think you said like you've been in business for now over 10 years. But at the beginning of your journey, did you start off with that same confidence that you have now in terms of your prices? Because now it's very clear that you're very confident. You're owning it. You're accepting it, which I love. However, a lot of entrepreneurs, like I said, don't start out the gate like that. Was that something that you always had, or was that something that you had to develop over time in terms of setting your prices? Even though you knew your worth, but how did you go about that?
So at first, when I first realized okay, I can get something out of this, I first started designing for people, not by choice. I am in a sorority, and it was kind of like, oh, that's your task. We need flyers for this fundraiser, da-da-da. So stuff like that would happen, and I'd be like, if I must, fine. I did not have a choice, So then that kind of helped me build speed and critique, because ultimately it was going to other people in my chapter, and they were seeing it and they were giving me critique that I didn't ask for because you didn't pay me. So that kind of helped me, and it was like, okay, I can do this. I can actually kind of take critique and it's not bothering me. So that was the first okay, let's encapsulate that. So then when I graduated, and they want you to come out with 5 years experience, and after you graduated, I don't know how you have 5 years experience after you graduated.
Right.
While I was looking, I was like, okay, well, let me see if clubs around here, DC, need flyers and stuff. So I started to do little flyers, but I was only charging $40. And I was charging $40 not because of the education, because, they have that meme that says, you're not charging me for how long it takes, you're charging me for, the experience behind it, or how fast I can do it, whatever. Well, I couldn't do it fast. A flyer used to take me 3-4 hours. I'm not even kidding. I would be stuck sitting there trying to make these girls' booties look good for these club flyers, just so they get stuck on your window pane in DC. That's what I was up against.
Okay.
And I was just kind of $40 because I wasn't fast. And then other things like logos, I was I was knowledgeable because of SCAD, because of it, but I've never had anybody entrust me. So I think when I first started, a logo was $150. So flyers were $40 and logos were $150. And it came with all the revisions you wanted. I let you just kind of talk a hole in my brain until we figured it out. And I was okay with that at that moment. And I tell people, because you kind of have to learn your footing and, go from there. I didn't know. Some people, I have designer friends who can't take feedback. They can't. They marry a design. I mean, I get like that sometimes still. They marry a design, and it's they can't take it, so it's not the business for them. Or, they're making these ideas and they're not, they're not translating over. It's not a good case study for them. It's not translating over in money for them, or profit for who they make it for. So you have to kind of think about that. But once I started to be able to create things that were doing both, translating over, making people money, and all this other stuff, then it kind of got to a point of, all right, let's be realistic. I'm making these flyers, and you're charging people $40 to get in, and I'm only charging you $40 to make the flyer. One person is paid for this flyer, but the club hosts 300 people. That doesn't make sense, because the flyer is what brought the people to them. So I kind of had to get in that mindset where it's all right, I'm charging more than that because more than one person should be able to pay for this flyer. Same thing when I would do t-shirt designs for people. I'd be like, okay, if I'm charging you $25 for the shirt design, you're charging $40 for the shirt. It just wasn't making sense.
Right.
So I think that's how I started to gauge pricing. That's how, because they have books on pricing. I have mini books. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have a bunch of books. Some talk about ethical standards and pricing, contracts, and things like that. But nothing will ever tell you, all right, you have a master's degree and you can design this fast, you should be charging this. Like, it doesn't do that. So I started my standard off of what is your ROI in these things that I'm making for you.
I'm sorry, Casey. Can you please explain to the people what's ROI?
Your return on investment.
Yes.
What is your return investment that you're making from what I'm making you?
Right.
And I think a lot of designers didn't think like that. They were just kind of like, oh, I'm designing it, and I know I got a cable bill coming up that's $50. I'm going to just ask for $50. Because I mean, I was like that too. But if I literally, because I used to actually work at a club, Indulge on U Street, if I did a flyer and you $40 and I'm driving and I'm in the club for the same, you know, and I see all these heads, I'm like,
wait a minute.
What the heck? I should have asked more.
Yeah.
And that's the worst feeling as the owner of a business, realizing, seeing your work explode or get people, you know, riches and fame. And you're just like sitting there like, dang, I should have asked more. I should have said more. That's a bad feeling.
It is. Especially when I remember back in the DC club days, there used to be a time where you could get a discount for bringing the flyer. So it was like you could tangibly see folks coming to the door with your flyer, and I'm counting how many flyers you see. I can imagine what that felt like.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to be a thing.
No, it's definitely a thing. And you kind of hit on something that's major, that's very important, because the whole thing is like, if I'm going to do anything creative, especially if I'm doing anything that's going to help you make more money, then my prices need to be, I need to be compensated appropriately.
Yeah, that's a real thing. You know, and I can see that applying across multiple industries. I had a conversation with a colleague the other day who writes proposals, like government proposals for small businesses. And she had to like reevaluate her price structure too, because, you know, you pay me, let's say $25 an hour, just for the sake of the conversation, to write the proposal. But if you win, you getting paid for 5 years from the government. Like, wait a minute, how does that work? Like, how does that translate?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nah, you're definitely right. You've built a pretty consistent clientele, or like you said, Indulge or so, and they're expecting you to pay, or they're expecting to pay you $25 for this flyer. What did that process look like when you're ready to now increase that price and have that sit down conversation with them? Because now I've become acclimated to paying you $25, $50, but now you want to increase me to $75, $100. But you have a sustainable business that you're trying to build and that you need to build because you have bills of your own. What's that risk look like, and how did you go about increasing that price? And like I said, having that discussion like, hey, this is my new rate.
So luckily for me, I had it good that it wasn't a lot of risk, because at the time I had worked at Indulge. I was also a bottle service girl at Indulge. So I was still getting money. I was milking Indulge, you know, like shout out to Butch. Like he knows, you know, but I don't like the word hustler, but I was like, all right, advertising, you need to get in this magazine placement. All right, also, I'm about to give you 2 bottles of Ciroc that's $700 with 30% gratuity. That's mine. You know, like, so I was okay. And also on top of that, I had finally landed a job in a advertising agency at the time. Oh. So that's when it really got messed up for everybody, because I saw what was going on in a real corporate setting of, you know, these we had this thing at the beginning of every morning. It was called Scrum. And it would be a meeting of everybody on the team, and people were throwing out figures, and these figures was like $1 million this and 60,000 this, and you know, and I'm like, hold up, wait, I'm literally creating a flyer for like Navy SEALs, same amount of work, same whatever that I'm doing for Indulge, and I'm like, or any club. It was more than Indulge. You know, I was doing pretty much all the clubs in DC at one point. And I was like, hold on, this isn't making sense. So when I noticed that, I was like, all right, I kind of sat quiet for a little. I'm real observant. Like I'm an extrovert, but it's after I observed you for a while.
Right.
So I kind of sat quiet for a little bit. I just did my work heads down, did my scrum meetings in the morning, and I was like, all right, hold on. Let me reevaluate this. So then I actually went back and I had clients, Divas NPH. It was a nonprofit about mental health. Like I had different clients everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I literally came to the point where I had to be like, I have to grow. I see what it really looks like in the real world. This is not the real world. Mm-hmm. And I just raised my prices. And that was me telling them the first time. But in all honesty, I tell you slickly, like now I'm about to raise my price starting tomorrow. But the way I told you now is I did a reel, showed you all my portfolio and said, play Jay-Z and Beyonce boss and said, price goes up March 1st. Like now I can kind of do it on my own way. But there's been times where I haven't even said it. Yeah. Because I don't need to. Because Chipotle went up on chicken. Did they tell you that they went up on their chicken? Right. No, you stood in that line and saw, damn, Chipotle is 35 more cents for chicken.
Yes, exactly.
Like, let me get that double chicken. That's what we did.
That makes
so I don't, sense. I feel like as business owners, we don't always now have to announce. At first we did it because we were scared, but once you like are comfortable in the work that you're providing, your price is your price. Shout out to Tiffany because that's her thing, but your price is your price, you know. What you think you're worth, do it, because there will always be somebody that pays for it. I was talking to a client the other day. She does hair, and the lady who did my hair, and she was like, I'm about to go up on prices. I haven't been up on prices in 5 years. Ooh. And I said, okay. And she's like, I'm scared. I just sat there quietly and I just Googled Tiffany's paperclip. It's an $1,800 paperclip that Tiffany's sells, and it's sold out. And you have to ask for a notification to get on the waiting list to get it. There's a customer for everybody.
So
and that's
hold
all
on.
I had to show her.
So this is just a paperclip.
Paperclip, the
like
whole
a regular paperclip. He's like, I want to make sure we talking about a regular paperclip.
If you Google Tiffany's, Tiffany's & Co. It's just a regular paperclip. $1,800, back order. It's a waiting list. Notify me when. But why do other people and companies get to do it and we can't do it either?
No, you are exactly right. So that's something that I'm so big on when it comes to like charging your worth and putting the money out there. Because a lot of times entrepreneurs will say, oh, this person won't pay for it. This person won't pay for it. And whatever it is might only be $50, $60. But people will go out here and buy Gucci belts, Giuseppe shoes, whatever it is. So it's like the people have the money.
They definitely do.
It's all about what they value. And if the business is providing the value, you can charge what you want to charge as long as it makes sense and it's well and within
consumer to your product or service. I would say that, what I'm learning about charging your worth is really that it's about two things, right? So the first thing you talked about was like the technical expertise, right? You went to school, you got the education, you spend 3-4 hours on a flyer, you learn some things or whatever. So like, what does your industry actually charge, right? So there's some technical pieces that go into charging your worth, and then there's a confidence piece that goes into charging your worth. Once you have whatever the technical expertise is, like shout out to Illustrator because that's my program. I like that. But so once you have that technical expertise and whatever it is, then you got to be confident enough to charge it and not be scared that you're going to lose an audience that you were entertaining, and knowing that there is an audience out there for your product, because that's a real big thing. Because you may lose some people, like you may lose the people who was only willing to pay that $25 at $40 for that flyer, but then when you go up to $600, there's an audience for that. It exists.
But you also might lose it on the opposite end, because if you come to me and you love my business and you love my service, and you ask me, so Kaylin, what's the price? And I'm like, well, it's $150. You're gonna be like, oh, you're not even confident. Well, right. I was gonna pay $150, but I'm out.
And I'm a complete believer in like you get what you pay for. Now that's not always right, when it comes to like expensive products. But if I go to you and you tell me that your flyer is only $40, I might not go with you because I'm looking for a high quality thing. Like, I don't know what she about to give me. Like, you might be about to give me something on Word, printed out on a computer, like copy paper.
Exactly.
Like, I'm looking for something I can gloss and put on heavy paper, and $40 don't sound like that's it. So I'm gonna go with this dude over here who's charging $600 because that sounds like the lane that I want, because that's the product that I want.
No, you hit on something, and this isn't really entrepreneurship business related, but it hits on what you say. So at my job, we have these boards where people are selling things.
Okay.
And so it'll tell you furniture for sale, cars for sale, whatever. But then there's a free category. I never click on the free category because in my mind, it's bad value.
Yeah.
However, until one guy at my job told me, do you ever go to the free category? And I'm like, I've never clicked on it not one time. He was like, you're loafing. He was like, it'd be so many great things in there. But to me, that value is, it's free.
Then
it must be garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage.
But that hits on what you say. If it's cheap, it must be garbage.
Yeah, and that's not always true. So we don't want you to.
It's not always true.
It's not always true. And I feel that way about, like, when I grocery shop, there are things that I'm willing to swap out. Like Domino's sugar is $5.99 for a 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
Giant has the same thing for $2. I'm gonna swap that out. I'm cool with it, right? But for a lot of things, like things that people are putting energy and time and money into, they really want to spend, like they're looking to spend a certain price because they think that that's what the price point is. And here you are shaking in your boots, scared to charge it. You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing.
Right.
And the funny thing is, I'm not even like, a lot of my peers, I have peers, like I said before, they don't even open their computer unless it's like 10K.
Whew.
So I'm not even there yet. And they get on me all the time. They be like, Casey, come on. And the funny thing is, I have like more experience than half of them.
Yeah.
You know, because I also did get to a point, it's not really there anymore, but I did have these moments of, would I pay for that? Would I pay for that? But then I have to realize I wouldn't pay for that because I know how to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd never touch my hair. I don't. It could look like a knot is sitting on my head. I'm not touching it. Why? Because that's not my ministry.
Yes.
But I will go give somebody a great dollar to get my hair done, and I will never touch it. And that's the same. So you have to think about it that way too. Like, those who can't will pay for it. You know. I don't like to clean. I'm finally getting a maid service coming in here next week.
Clap for you, sis, because I got one. I understand.
This is my first time. I'm so excited, sis. I'm so excited.
Be excited. Take that joy. It's going to be wonderful.
I don't even know what to do. I feel like I want to put a robe on and some slippers and just watch them.
Yes.
But I don't want to be that one.
I won't be that extra, but it's worth it. It's worth every single dime. I promise you.
And the thing is, it's so funny. I didn't know they didn't have pricing. And like you said, they didn't have pricing on the website. Nothing. I don't really care what they had said to me. The answer was yes. Because I just don't want to do it. And I'm tired. I'm so far removed from it.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm better than it. But quarantine, you just keep I swear it's like Groundhog Day in here. You just keep picking up the same toy every day. It's like, okay, I don't care what it costs me. I just can't do it anymore. Yeah.
My husband told me to think of it like this. If you charge, let's say, I don't know what you charge for a logo right now, but I'm going to say you charge
$3,000.
See, there it is, $3,000 for a logo. How long does it take you to design a logo, generally speaking?
If I sat still?
Yeah, if you sat still.
If I sat still and the client answered my every email, I could probably finish a logo in like 3 days.
Okay, so let's say 8-hour days, 24 hours. You know, I don't know. Let's call that $100 and $200 an hour.
I don't do math, sis. I told you that.
Yeah, let's call it $200 an hour. At the same rate, like, are you going to spend $200? Like, how long does it take you to clean your place? Are you going to spend $200 cleaning your place when you could spend that same $200 or make that $200 designing a logo? Like, that's how my husband had me look at cleaning. Yeah. He was like, listen, it's worth it for you to pay this company. They're charging their worth, but it's worth it because your worth is spent way better, you know, putting time and energy into our kids, putting time and energy into the podcast, putting time and energy into your work because that's what you're good at. So you have to not only...
after you get it, after you clean, you just go to sleep.
Then
all you're going to do is go to sleep.
I'm tired now. I didn't spend all day cleaning these toilets. I'm tired. Exactly. I'm here with it. And it's funny because I talk so confidently about charging your worth and I still struggle with it. So I have a part-time business doing wedding stationery, and I don't just do like paper wedding stationery. I do acrylic wedding stationery. So it's like high dollar luxury. So like I already know my target audience is people who are willing to spend a little bit more, because you're not getting acrylic for a cheap dollar. You know what I'm saying? And I see some of the bigger designers out here in New York and this place in California, and I see what they're charging for these things, and I still be like, like I ease into like charging my, you know what I'm saying, my work, and I really just have to speak it, because to be honest, it's a lot of work, right? And so like some of your colleagues, I shouldn't even be opening my laptop for less than a certain, because it's a lot of work. Like there's a lot of handmade work going into that.
Right. So Casey, can you kind of explain to us, because your clientele, you're on a certain level. Candace, with the luxury acrylics and all that type of stuff, she's trying to reach a potential customer that's on a certain level. I have Pivotal Video Group, which that's a business to business company, and it's not your local businesses, which I'm fine with, but a lot of times they can't afford the quality of work. So the struggle is, how do you even get in contact, or how do you start getting your work in front of these big corporations that you've been able to get, been afforded to work with? Because that's a struggle, because those are the ones that have true marketing budgets that say, oh, 10K is nothing. Here, that's it. But that's a hard thing. That doesn't come easy, because until you get there, you're left, working around PG around your peers saying, hey, do you need a logo? Do you need some designs? And then you're just like, well, a logo is $3,000. It's like, oh, I was only trying to spend $250.
Yeah,
right.
Or a video, I'm telling. For example, I was asked at one point to do a social media video for 60 seconds, and the question was, how much will that cost? And I'm saying, well, without the details and the requirements, I'm just going to say it's probably about $800 to $1,000 minimum. And then the response was, well, I can get that for $125.
$125?
But that's the way a lot of people are. But to me, that's not, you weren't really my target customer.
Right.
However, my target customer might be Dick's Sporting Goods or Kohl's or JCPenney. But how do you get in front of those type of customers?
So it's different. So one thing I had to learn quick, I have 89 line sisters, okay? I have a big family. Those are not my customers. That's first and foremost. Like that has to be said. Your friends and your family are not your target market. So we have to stop with that. First of all, like, can you repost this? No, stop. Period. Because what's happening is, if your best friend is always out at the club, or she's always doing whatever and got a little side hobby, then now you're posting something and she's going to look at it knowing that she knows you. And that's even more of a hookup that they think they're going to get. So I just tell people, stop that. There are ways that I utilize like Facebook ads now. I actually just invested into a girl named Portia. She's doing my LinkedIn profile from scratch so I can do corporate. I'm paying people. I'm literally paying people to be a vessel to get me where they are. I hired a copywriter to write the copy for my website. It has to just make sense, because what happens is it just takes one person to find you to then share you, the right person that needs you. So I try to be very like strategic in that. So I don't know when the person's going to find me or when they did find me, but I say that when they do find me, I'll be ready. And I think that's where a lot of like creatives and entrepreneurs mess up at. They're waiting, they're pushing themselves out there and they're like halfway put together. So when they get found, it's like, you're not on that caliber. Like your stuff is already selling yourself short. You don't have it together, or you are relaunching 10 times, or, it's just, it's muddled message, and that doesn't really work for people. So what I did was I made sure I had my stuff together. Then I put myself out there. I went for ads, and I'm doing the LinkedIn now. I'm very cognizant of, I have a questionnaire when you work with me. My questionnaire says, what's your budget? Is it this, or no budget? I just want to do it right. The people that click no budget, I just want it done right, or who I want. I don't Or I'll ask you, have you worked with a brand strategist before? If you tell me no, then we don't need to work together. Because ultimately, birds of a feather flock together. So that one person who didn't work with a brand strategist, who asked me 1,000,002 questions, are then that I got it through because what customer service is important, is going to then tell their friends who deciding to start a business. They're going to say, "Oh, she led me through this. It was so great. She answered all my questions, even though to me I was tired of answering all their questions." Then now I have a new inquiry, and it's the same caliber that I just really shouldn't have had taken on in the first place.
Got it.
Or I can wait until you answer my questionnaire and you're checking off all the boxes that I need you to. So yes, you've worked with somebody before, so I don't have to worry about trying to guide you through extra things. Your budget, you don't have any budget. You want it done right. Those are people who leave me alone when I design.
Got it. And I think as a creative, that's important too.
It is. The questionnaires are not, and it's a double-edged sword because you have people who fill out these questionnaires thinking like, oh, I'm going to tell you so much about me and da-da-da-da-da. You're subconsciously applying to work with me.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I'm vetting you. You think you did your time to vet me because you compared me to other people. You followed my page. You went through my work. You vetted me. So now I'm vetting you. Once you check off certain things or don't check off certain things, then now I can say if this is going to be a good fit or not.
Agreed.
Sometimes people get through the inquiry, and then we get on the phone, and it's still not good.
It is still a no. Yes, I've been there. You know what? And I think it really depends on this is not like blanket advice for all entrepreneurs because it really depends on kind of like what your service is. So if you sell T-shirts, every client is a good client because they're just buying your product, right? But when it comes to like services, that kind of like questionnaire thing is a real deal because I have a questionnaire also for the wedding business, and I know when a bride is coming to me if it's not a good fit. Like I can feel it. And early on in my career, I would take, because every sale was a good sale is what I was thinking. I would take it and it would be a nightmare. Like brides are already a special case because they're in a special place in life. So it already takes a lot of catering to them. But man, when I pushed it and I could tell that this isn't a good fit, it would be, as a creative, because part of my job is creating, it would be like the nitpicking and the this and the that. Well, can you change this font? And it's not that I'm against changing a font. Like typography is my thing. Like I love to play with, and I'm not against it. It's like, but sis, this don't go with this. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah, they just don't take your expertise.
Yes, and you're paying for this for a reason, right? And then I'm super sensitive about it because like, you're taking these invitations and you're sending them out to 150 people. This is my business card on the line. Like, because people are going to ask you who did this for you. And I'm not willing to do something that looks crazy. I'm just not going to do it.
But one thing I did learn, and it is about when we do look out for like corporate clients and stuff, the questionnaire has to be really strategic because corporate clients are not answering a lot of questions. They don't have the time.
Right.
So with them, like my small business, I have different sectors. So if you log into my website, it says designers, corporate, small businesses. Because that's who I cater to. So when you go through, they're all doors. Like you literally push a button and the website, even to the door, the website you click, it looks totally different once you click the button.
Come on.
So when you go to corporate, it's real work, team, and fill out this quick questionnaire. The questionnaire is like 5 questions.
Okay.
Like, how many people on your team? Do you have a lead creative? What's your budget? And we'll contact you. Because if you have the money, you don't have the time. That's what it really boils down to a lot. And it's a lot of like, that works, that's fine. Like, it's not a lot of that. Now, what the small business, their questionnaire is the budget, the business, how many years, what's the goals of your business? Are you going to even be here in 5 years? Are we really wasting time? Like, it's all of that. It's testimonials. It's all these things and it sucks because you have to entice small business owners and entrepreneurs more than just corporate. But also you have to remember, like, you have to have a starting point. No designer just gets out of bed and is like, all right, I'm gonna start my career, I'm going straight to corporate. No, you have to do these little projects and these small business owners and everything to get there. So you don't give them less, but there will be a time. I stopped with entrepreneurs this year. Like, so unless you established entrepreneur that's been here more than 5 years and worked with a strategist, I don't even work with you anymore. And next will be small businesses will be gone. Because I know I have goals within my businesses too. And I think once you start to pan and hone in on your goals for your company, that'll help with your pricing and things like that as well. Because then you know, like, all right, I need to go up the ladder here and here with this. I don't need to worry about here. All right, I reached my cap here, then I'm just going to kick that ladder off to the side. I'm done with small business. Now I'm just going up the corporate ladder, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that either. And also, I don't know if you do it. I don't know. So packages. I always tell creatives, another thing to help your ROI is packaging. So what happens, a lot of people who don't know, corporate is different. We're going to leave corporate out of here.
Okay.
But an established small business owner, let's say they're trying to rebrand. You can create a custom package, or you can create one of them custom packages you already have. But what we're not doing is a la carte. We're not doing, can I get this business card right here? And then let me get this, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I just stopped. I'm not going to act like I've been stopped. You know, I've done small things here and there if you're already been a client.
Right.
But for new people, I don't do it for you because you're piecemealing your brand together. And that shows me that you're not invested in what's going on.
Come on, sis.
And I don't have time for that either.
Talk that talk. That's a real thing. Because I think people don't even realize like what you're putting out there. So in terms of like charging, like knowing your worth and charging other people, do you charge like your small businesses the same as your corporate, the same as your entrepreneurs, or is there like a separate scale that you put together for each of them?
So it is a separate scale.
Okay.
So small business and an established entrepreneur are the same. They're the same prices. Corporate, of course, is different, but how we get to point A to point B is different as well.
Okay.
So for small business owners, like one thing that's different is a brand style guide. So for small businesses, it's just your colors, your fonts, submark, whatever.
Right.
Little generic things. It's like, here's your brand, here's your fonts, here's your colors, boom. With corporate, you can only use 75% red or anything. You cannot invert this. You do not stretch this. You do not skew this. It's like really meticulous
Got it.
things for that. Because, of course, it's corporate. You know,
right.
It could go anywhere.
Okay.
So it's really more meticulous direction.
Okay.
Another difference is with small businesses, I do pen and paper first. I do thumbnails, and then they pick them, and then I go to computer. Corporate, I will never send a sketch to somebody in corporate. I literally mock up on the computer the designs and then go.
Right.
Okay. So there's differences of how I get there. And then the reason, and it's sad, but the reason why I can't just go to computer and I just do thumbnails with small business owners is because there's always an edit. So I would hate to get on the computer and do all that time and just for an edit. But with corporate, and this is why they're always like, just change this or this, and then it's all like, I think I maybe had to go through a huge round, like maybe once with corporate. Okay. And I've had a couple of corporate clients. They, for the most part, they're like, that's fine. They trust what you're doing. And that's the ultimate kind of client you're looking for. Is they just trust what you're doing. Right.
I mean, you put the portfolio out there, and then they pick you based on portfolio. You came to me looking for business. And that's something that our stream chasers have to remember. Like, people are coming to you, so you shouldn't be afraid to charge your prices. They're looking for you.
Right. So, quick question, Casey. What's your thoughts on businesses or specifically creatives on putting their prices on their website? That's always a big discussion. You know, some people do it, some people don't. Some people believe, I don't want to do it because I already know that the competition A, B, and C is all on my website, trying to see, can they lowball, my prices just to get some more clientele. But really, after having this discussion, that's probably what we don't even care about.
You don't even care about that.
But yeah. What's your thoughts on that whole thing on being transparent with your prices?
Let me pay attention.
I put my prices on my website. I really do. So this is a double-edged sword. I put my prices on my website, and I love that my counterparts put their prices on their websites, because think about it this way. If you're in an office and everybody has worked for 4 years in the same office, why wouldn't you discuss your pay? You should all be getting paid the same amount, you know? And I think that it's so taboo to talk about pay, but then we complain about pay. It's so weird to me. Like, we don't want to talk about it, but then we're going to complain about it.
Agreed.
And if we had these conversations about them, then what is there to complain about? It's like you're in a relationship and you assumed that he wanted to watch a comedy, but you didn't talk about it. And now, you know, y'all in an argument about something. Like, you can't do that. You know, you discuss about these things. And I don't think that money should be taboo. I used to, you know, and it's not like I'm balling out, you know, baby girl is only like 6 months removed from a negative bank account, you know? So like, don't get it twisted, you know? But we need to talk about it. And I encourage people to put their prices on their sites, because what happens is I challenge creatives to all get to the same level playing field and put their prices all the same, because now your people are coming to you off of talent.
Yeah.
And that's really what it should be.
Yeah.
You should be wanting to work with somebody because they're just talented, or you can see your brand within that company, you know, actually making moves for you.
Yeah.
But that higher lower thing, I mean, I'm lower than some, I'm higher than some. But I would say do it. I put mine on there. I put in when it changes. I want you to see, because also I want to get it out the way. Yeah. You know, I just want to get it out the way, because if you get on the phone, that's money. Time is money. So now I'm on the phone with you to tell you a price, and then you say, "Oh, no, that doesn't fit my budget." When that could have just been you opening my media kit on the website that you were already going to see the work. Yeah. So why put this extra time on me, and now I'm missing out on when I could have been finishing up somebody's logo? Sure. You know, it just. I mean, sometimes you need to do custom quotes for people, and I get that. But I think that even if it's 50 plus, that's still, let people still know where you're starting at. Yeah. So to let them know, like, okay, this could be around my budget, 1,000 plus, things like that. And I think they still save you. But I am such an advocate of put your prices on your site. Some people are like, no, I don't want to do it because somebody gonna look. Everybody's gonna look. Everybody has everybody's stuff. Everybody has everybody's address. Everybody has everybody's phone number. Everybody has everybody's everything at this point. Put your prices on your site. Alleviate a lot of stuff, extra phone calls, things you don't need. Now, the difference between small business and corporate, if you say corporate saw my small business media kit and was like, they like try to fall in that's what the consultations come into play. That's when I ask deeper questions. I'll be like, okay, so da-da-da. And I'll be like, oh, you don't fall into small business. You fall into corporate. And that's happened before. And they take it. They be like, oh, okay.
True. Yeah, exactly.
You mean, that's all you can do. Because what's the most that can happen? Somebody say no? Yeah. All right. Cool.
No, you're 100% spot on. So people don't like to be sold to. The average American, whether we're walking in a car dealership and when that car salesman comes up to you and says, hey, we got this pretty new Lexus sitting here, it's $25K or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That makes people feel awkward. People don't like to be approached like that. So if I put my prices on my website, like Casey was saying, you already know. So that's already out the window. So when you come to me, one, I know you mean business, and you already see what our prices are. Right. So we're going to avoid all that uncomfortable, that whole feeling. So when we do have our consultation, we're really talking business, trying to see, all right, now
if we're a good fit.
Yeah. If we're a good fit, do we need to move forward? Like Casey was saying in her questionnaire, she's checking to see, do you have lead designers or like, is there going to be a point person that I need to be working with? That whole thing. So now we can get the process going. But I thought that was so key. And ever since then, because when I first started the video company, I was on the side of, I don't want people to see. But then when I heard that advice, I'm like, it's king. Yeah. Because when we were doing that and very actively, that was a topic that it wasn't an issue. Yeah. When we got those questionnaires, it's, hey, my budget is 1 to 3K, 3 to 5K. And it's all right, well, let's talk.
Exactly.
But I think that's king.
I'm going to edit my website tonight.
Yeah, I think you have
Put
to.
your prices on it and just put a plus sign, you know, or custom quote available.
Yeah, and
because people can even start to gauge it. They'll gauge it.
Yeah, and I think that's why I avoided it. So I sell through Etsy, and I also have a private website where I host things. But I avoided it because with invitations, it's all very like how many guests you have, how many copies you need, how many accoutrements do you need, whatever. So I think, but a good piece of advice that she just gave is even just saying starting at this price. That way there's no surprise, because I do find that a lot of people have a lot of sticker shock, is what I call it, when they first talk to me, because I am at this point mostly charging what I'm worth. And so that still creates a little bit of discomfort for some folks. So even if I put starting at this price, I'm only getting calls from people who are really serious about going forward to the next step, because I ain't got time. I'm tired.
Exactly.
So Candace, you just hit on something, and I want Casey to kind of answer this, but you know that's a whole problem in the creative world with this whole sticker shock, because people don't understand the true value of what it takes to design a logo, what it takes to do a video, what it takes to do invitations, because in their mind, they're just thinking, oh, this is just a simple logo. This should not cost me thousands, or these are just 100 wedding invitations that you can easily do. Yes, it's like, no, it's not that easy. but like, that's a problem in the world, you know, like the whole creative world. But Casey, like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, getting people to realize, like, a logo is not just a simple logo, that it takes time. And granted, like you said, if you sit down still, it might only take you 3 days. But how do you get that across to people? Like, no, this is like serious work, and it's not just for fun.
So I think that's where you have to kind of pivot yourself. I no longer try to sell you the design. So I no longer the simple typography. I don't try to sell you what the logo is. I try to now sell what the logo does for you. So I list benefits now. So I don't just say the logos, like if you look at my media kit, I don't just say, well, logo's $3,000. I don't do that. What I say is a logo, you get a primary logo, a standard color palette, you get custom fonts, you get 2 mood boards, you get a consultation, you get, like, I list out all the things. So, because that's psychology. You feel like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get all this stuff. Yeah. But this is just your logo. This is what a logo is. Yeah. But that's me tricking you to realize this is what a logo does for you and how much it can help you. Because you're taking the colors from the logo and you're using it on your PowerPoints to give presentations. You're taking the font from the logo. You're using those on the PowerPoint. You're dragging them to Canva. You're making other collateral. So I'm, in essence, giving your brand feet. So I no longer try to sell you on, oh, I can create this beautiful graphical element for you. I don't say that anymore. I say I can create this, give you custom this with this, a submark design. This can do this, and I give you 5 file formats. Like you said, Caitlin, like think about the car. Okay, it's metal with 4 tires. Or is it metal, 4 tires, heated seats, you know, dual airbags,
automatic starters.
And that's what they sell you. And whenever you do your services, and this is for all creatives, that's what you need to sell. Like, for instance, Candace, when you do your invites, I would say keepsake invites. Okay, oh shoot, these are going to be so good, I can keep them and store them later. I can, you know, custom color palette creation, because you thought of the typography elements. All those are what you kind of have to lead with, because even if people don't know what the fuck you're talking about, it still sounds like a rack of stuff. Bullet points are a lot. They're like, oh my gosh, another bullet, another bullet. Yeah. I'm getting all these bullets.
Yes, exactly.
Like, and that's how creatives need to kind of sell it. It's no more of what it visually looks like. It's what it'll do for you and your, you know, what you get in return for or with it.
Yeah, I learned that early on with the invitations. It's one thing I always tell clients, like, this is the people's it's an invitation. Yes, they're gonna know what time, where it is, whatever, but this is their first piece of your wedding. Like, this is the first thing that they get. So this is the thing that lets them know like how fancy it should be. This is the thing that gets them excited. This is the thing that decides what kind of gift they get you. Like, this is the thing. And when I tell you I list every piece of that invitation, the outer envelope, the inner envelope, the liner, the invitation, the RSVP card, the pre-stamped RSVP envelope, all of that is like bulleted so that it's not just an invitation suite. It is like all of these pieces that you have to listen.
I have never thought of that, but you are so spot on, because whenever we receive wedding invites, I swear I judge the wedding
based on the invite.
By the envelope.
That's it.
And when I see that, if I see a seal, I'm like, okay, this is nice and luxury.
Exactly.
If I don't see that seal, I'm like, oh.
It's like, oh, okay. Oh, got it.
Put that one on the refrigerator.
Exactly.
Well, stick that magnet up there.
Exactly. And that's how I sell to people. I mean, it's got the stamp on the back. It's got this. It's got that. It's embossed. All of that matters, you know?
List all those benefits, because one bullet, $3,000 bullet logo. What?
Nah, you're right.
You are right. You are right. And I think knowing that, as when you see all those, because I do think there is a little bit of price psychology there, because when you do see all those bullets and I see $3,000, it matters to me. It's a thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, so not only, because I'm also, while I am I would say I'm not an expensive shopper. Like, I don't just go for the most expensive thing, but I do equate my value with dollar. I'm also a value shopper. So it's like, okay, I can spend $800 where somebody says logo, that's it. Or I can spend $3,000, which is more. I feel like it's a little bit higher quality, and it comes with all of these things. That to me sounds like the better deal.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here. So let me ask you one other question about, like, you know, charging your worth to folks. Because sticker shock is a thing.
Yeah.
But do you find that folks are less shocked when it's the right audience? So if it's the right person, because I always find that the person who's really shocked is the person I probably shouldn't be working with anyway, because they had no idea. They were lost in the sauce.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Is that your experience?
So it's been, you know, people are people. People won't peep. You know, I have some people who literally be like, "Yo, I saved up to work with you." Oh, you know, I've had that, and then I've had some people who literally been like, "I feel like I wasted my money." You know, you can't. That hurt. It is what it is. It did hurt, but
that's how I know you got some skin in the game.
Yeah, because that hurt. That was like, whoo.
Yeah, because the thing is, one thing I had to learn quick is art is interpreted. So
that's true.
It's not like math where 2 + 2 has to equal 4. It's not like that. Art is always subjective. So, you know, they just wasn't feeling it. But one thing I like really tell people is you pick me, like you said, but the things that you're like my portfolio work and the things that you're looking at, those are from clients who let me design. Because if you come behind me trying to design with me and for me, it's not going to look like this. So I say that, I'm like, look, I do, you know, I love honesty and stuff, but everything that you love me for and came to me for is because I was trusted enough to do it my way, you know, and it works. And then you have, like I said, to be honest, times that the people didn't like what they had is because they actually designed it themselves and I was just the vessel.
Listen, 2 very pertinent examples for that. One is that one of the very first invitation clients I had was very, very picky, and she wanted to pick and choose every font, every placement, everything. And when I tell you that was the ugliest invitation I have ever created, I was like, I didn't even want to send it to her because I was like, this is trash. And she loved it, but I was like, I'm fearful of everybody who's I'm never going to get another client off a referral from this because this is just trash. And I have learned from that point on, that's when I created the questionnaire, because I need to know who you are before I even take you on. And the other thing is, as we like to make sure that our show is like relatable to other people, I find this to be very, very relevant to like the hair industry. So like if you're on somebody's Instagram and you see that she is an excellent braider and you love do not take her a weave. That's not what she do. And don't go in there trying to direct how because she does a thing, and if you let her do her thing or his thing, it's going to be beautiful, right? But if you go in there trying to be, well, can you swoop it to this side? And if you, because it gets to be, and I have a couple friends who are like hairdresser friends, and that is like one of their biggest pet peeves is like when you come in here trying to tell me how to do my job, like just let me be. From it. Yeah, so I sit in the chair and be like, just do it.
Yeah, whatever you feel today. I'm so big on that, and I think when you do get comfortable in your business, you get comfortable going to others for business. Because I'll mess around and like there'll be a copywriter and I'll be like, whatever, I trust you. When I tell you I have somebody that runs my social media, things like that, they'll show me stuff and I'm like, I trust you. I hired you for a reason. I trust you. I saw what you could do. Do it. You know, you asked me the questions and things. You got all the information you needed from me up front. I gave you, and I tried to be as very transparent as I could with what I thought you should have. Do what you're going to do. And I think that, you know, that's the ultimate best type of client. But, you know, you reap what you sow. So if you sit there and give somebody a hard time, how you get mad that clients is giving you a hard time? I literally let people that's why I hired you. No, I trust you. Okay, go ahead. You know, it's not I don't value my dollar, but I value my dollar to go into somebody that I trust. Right. You know, and it kind of sucks that people are like that. But I do also tell creatives, if somebody like the invitations that you did and the girl like turned into shit, basically, if you started a good concept at the beginning, I still use it for my portfolio before she got her hands on it. It's so many. I posted, it's so terrible. I posted the other day on my Instagram a logo for a real estate agent. I loved it. She didn't pick it. The logo right now, it's going through blasphemy, if you ask me. It's going through blasphemy right now. But I posted the one I loved. Yeah. And in the caption, I said, I always post the one I love because what happens is I let my followers do the work by liking it and telling you, ooh, hard eyes, hard eyes, hard eyes. True. And then the client comes back and be like, okay, you know what? That's happened to me so many times. People I just let my followers do the work. Games.
Yeah, like people are responding to this, but let the people do the work.
I do it so much. Yeah. Like I love Miracle Drops, the Kaleidoscope brand that I just worked for. The packaging has not really changed. Everybody know. I mean, it's not like they don't know. I'm not really a big fan of the drops packaging right now. I did it, cool. Oh, but I made another one. Baby, I'm about to put up the new one, the ones I did that before they got a hold of it. Yeah. And I'm gonna tag them. I do it on purpose. Yeah. Because one thing you're gonna know is I know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. When I give these suggestions, I didn't just pull out the sky. Yeah. So I let my followers do the work. They're like, oh, this is so nice. Oh, that's dope. Oh, I love that. One girl said, oh, I climbed my DMs. Well, she ain't like it. Can you change the name and I'll buy it from you?
Yeah, there it is. Come on. And that goes into charging your worth. Like, here are the live, Instagram is live testimonials of people liking my thing. Pay me, please. The end.
Yeah. So, it's all a mind game, you know.
Nah, that's a gem. That's a gem.
I'm here for it.
But real quick, so Casey, we're not just going to gloss over the fact that you just saw a 40K month. First of all, let's just applaud you. That was great. Because a lot of business owners, their goal is to just hit like 10K a month as that first scale. You hit the 40K month. So what's your plans to kind of leverage that and, you know, continue on building upon that so you don't go back to saying just a 2K month or a 3K month or whatever the case may be? How do you keep growing from 40 to 60 to 100K a month?
Tell me.
Okay, so I don't know everybody's religion. You know, I'm not trying to step too deep in this. I know it's a business podcast. However, last year when quarantine kind of started, I was scared. I was like, yo, who needs a business? Like, people are trying to keep their lights on. Like, this is about to be bad. And it was so funny because I used to say all the time, yo, I'm recession proof, because when people would lose their jobs, they would start businesses. So I kind of like forgot about that like cockiness I had. And I was like, yo, I'm nervous. I'm panicking. I ain't got no savings for real. And then I was like, no, people about to start businesses. And lo and behold, they definitely did. So one thing I did was I kind of like prayed and meditated on it. And then I did this financial month. So in June of last year, anything that I consumed was about finances. I read Profit First. I read You're a Badass Moneymaker. I had read Dave Ramsey. I did the little workbook. Any podcast I was listening to was about money. It's just everything was money, like in June, because I was like, something's telling me it's about to be a pivot. Let me just consume it so I know what to do it. Because I'm not good at, I wasn't good at saving money.
Okay.
That wasn't my strong suit. And something in me was like, you're about to get money with them, but you don't want something you don't know how to handle.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like I was about to be gifted something, and I knew I needed to know how to handle it.
Okay.
So I was like immersed in. If you haven't read Profit First, please read Profit First.
I need to check
it's
that out.
on the list. Got it.
Oh God, it'll change your life.
Okay.
It really will. So I was reading all these books, just all of them. I can share them so you can share them with your listeners.
Will do.
But all these books, and then I was like, okay. So then I started to write down my stuff. They say the universe don't like uncertainty. You got to write it down, pen and paper, So I wrote it down. I was like, all right, this month I want to make 8,000. That was my first time. I said, I'll make 8,000. I made 8,800. I said,
wow.
Cool. Then the next month I was like, all right, let's go for 9. I made 10. Then I was like, all right, let's make 12. And I made 15. Then October came and I didn't write anything down. I didn't write anything down. And I'm also big into reading books now. I'm like digesting books, bad Atomic Habits. I'm like, how they tell you, I don't know if you ever seen those supposed to be like, millionaires, the first thing they do is meditate, read a book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really kind of actually believe that, to be honest.
That's probably true.
I really believe, because I was like consuming, I was walking and I was just regurgitating like all this information. I don't know. It was just something in me. And I was like, all right. But in October, I was like, oh, it's my birthday. I ain't about to do nothing. I made $2,000.
Oh, look at that.
I was like,
come on.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on.
How ironic.
Yeah.
So then in November, I was like, oh, nah.
Back to writing.
Yeah, it was terrible. Like, I wrote nothing down. I was just like, I'm going to freestyle. Like, I got comfortable. I got real comfortable. So then it just kept progressing. So I set goals for myself. I did get challenged by this one lady in a clubhouse room, and she was like, stop writing income and write how many people you now want to serve.
Ooh.
And when I did that, now we're here.
Okay.
It switched because what was happening, and it was like $1 million clubhouse thing. It was a nice room. And she was just like, these income goals are great, but then you're kind of capping yourself. But if you say you want to serve people, who says how much money those people will give you that you served? And I was like, oh, that's true. So I went ahead and I was just like, yo, I want to serve like 10 people.
Okay.
Well, I did it because if I look at the amount of people I served, it worked. And I ended up just banking the 40K. So it kind of worked. And it's great because it was so funny. I had to send my bookkeeper my account, my taxes, my old taxes for records, because this is the first year she's doing my taxes. So she was like, let me see all your old taxes. The highest I ever made was $39,000 in a year.
Oh, wow.
Before that. Last year, I did make 6 figures last year, with the good months that started scaling. I made $108,000 when we ended. So I said, okay, I'm going to make $100,000 before in 6 months. Mind you, I didn't even step in passive income yet. And I think all creatives need to have passive income. Like, that's a whole nother podcast for another day.
Yeah,
but like, I really understand like passive income is really important, especially creators, because YouTube videos have over 1 million hits because I couldn't figure out how to do a clip mask. I'm like, dang, how did you do a clip mask again? Do commercial. Oh, well, they getting paid for this. And now I know for 10 seconds, all the video will be 10 seconds long. Clip mask, bop, bop, bop.
Yep.
Thank you for joining me. And that's it. It's things like that. So I haven't even stepped in that room. That's just me serving people.
Right.
And you have to get really intentional. And I really am big at the universe does not like uncertainty. So when it's the same thing like getting on these phone, like Kaylin said, like, and you have to tell people a price. you can't sound uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is, you know? And I'm really big in these affirmations, you know, these doubt kill more dreams than failure ever will. Like I say my affirmations. You have to up yourself, because in business for yourself, who I'm gonna fall on?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have people that I hired that could fall on me, but how rewarding is it to like, here, fill out a W-9. Like, I'm putting food on people's tables at this point. You know, and that's the ultimate goal. So it's just like, I got to think about that now too. So I'm really big on who I'm serving, you know, money goes, what I'm doing. I'm making sure I'm trying to invest it. You know, I'm now getting into what retirement looks like, because a lot of creatives, we don't talk about what retirement looks like either. You know, all those type of things that I'm doing with this money. And I'm making it, and also to be 100% transparent, it's the first year I've tied. So that might also be it too, because your girl ain't tied. I used to put $5 bills in that joint, you know, real quick. Or I hand it off to the kid. I got 2 little boys. I would hand them off, you know, their $1 each.
Yeah, here you go. And that's my size. Exactly.
That's from us, you know. But now I'm like tiding, you know, and it's coming back as well. So I think what you put out is what you get back, you know. And if you're confident that you're worth this money, then you'll get it. Because I wasn't always confident at all. I'd be like, okay, well, my bills, I need $2,800, and that's all my bills for the month. That's mortgage, gas, that's everything. So if I get that, I'm okay. But why I don't get no play money? Why don't I deserve play money?
Exactly.
You know, why don't I deserve to pay bills for my parents? Why wasn't I thinking bigger than that? You know, so I think once your mindset really changes, and you have to be disciplined. Like, you have to be really disciplined on what you're intaking. And lastly, I'm not trying to do a whole Sir Raps a lot, but also I realized I have a coach. Coaches need coaches. But also the moment I stopped comparing myself to other people's businesses, I really scaled. Like, that's literally when I started scaling, because I would literally look at my counterparts and be like, all right, you know, here we are. But now I'm just like, all right, what's up? That's good for them. And, you know, they got their sauce, I got my sauce. Yeah. So I think once creatives kind of get out of their own way with that, because we do it unconsciously, I think that we'll go further as well. Everybody has a lane, you know. Why not, you know? Yeah.
You said so many things. I just, like, the tithing, the writing it down, the being intentional, the getting up and putting it, I mean, all of that goes into, because like, you can definitely charge your worth and know your worth, but I mean, in order to keep it flowing, there are things that you have to do, especially as a small business owner or an entrepreneur or whatever you got going on. Like, all of those things are definitely important.
Now she said it all.
Yeah, she really did. That was crazy.
Make a habit. Stick to it.
We appreciate it.
But let's get just a little specific. So what's next for you in terms of your design agency? Or it may not even be your design agency. It may be one of those other passive income streams that you talked about briefly.
So we actually are currently, I have like I just posted today, we're looking for a graphic design intern. It's a paid position. We're looking to expand because God is good. Come on. So we're currently expanding. We're just growing. So the ultimate goal of Snipes Design Agency, you know, if I had it my way, is we will open doors, and the employees, besides the ones that are already like back in, like my account manager and stuff, they would be all college students that just graduated. I don't want people I want the new ideas. I want the people who they keep asking, do you have experience? I want that because they're quicker than, you know, you think. They have so many ideas, and they're fresh off the knowledge of how to do it. And they're still sponges. So I want an agency, or I will have an agency with, you know, a good team, a solid team. So if you know anybody, please send them my way for that. It is, again, it's a paid position. other than that, I keep doing education. I joined Skillshare. I take classes all the time. I think any creative should take classes because also you can't continue to increase your worth if you're not increasing your education. Like the buck can't just stop there, you know? So I'm really big on, I sit and I take classes. You know, I can't take forever classes, but I take like, you know, a little quick 2-hour class here, learn how to do a trick in Illustrator or, you know, a program like, another program like Del Fresco or something like that. I try to just learn so I can always be in the forefront of it for my business. Read, I send, if you want to, you can sign up for the Snipes Design Agency subscribe mailing list. We send out quarter books. So what happens is we do a book list every quarter of like kind of what we're reading. Like, so like Traction, Built to Sell, all these things, they're on there. And then also I do have a bunch of freebies as well. Cause I'm the type of person, you can ask me questions. I like to be an open book for people because I didn't always get that in return. I don't always feel like everything needs to be monetized. So I do have some freebies on my website as well at snipesdesignagency.com where like when to seek design, what does that look like? The difference between a graphic designer and a brand strategist, because there's definitely a difference. Also, if you're trying to do it yourself, you know, everybody starts at different positions. So if you want to do it yourself, like color codes, like what colors evoke different feelings, things like that. So there's a couple of freebies and things to download to just kind of get yourself going for a designer or somebody as a small business owner. But yeah, that's really what it is. We're just expanding and trying to grab more corporate clients and just be a force because, you know, I live in purpose. And when you live in purpose, it's kind of like, you know, you want to make sure that you put people in position to kind of do the same thing. I always tell people, like, I don't need you to give me the seat. Just put me in the room. I'll find my own seat, you know, like I'll be good. Just let me in the room. Right. Everything else I'm fine. So that's really about it for Snipes. We're just going to continue to we're growing right now. I really need another intern. And then on top of that, I think I might end up having to look for an assistant. So at first I'm like, yo, like it's kind of scary when you got to do those type of things because you're like, who the hell do I think I am? Who do I think I am? But then it's like, why wouldn't I, you know, do this? Why would I not employ people? Why would I not, you know, need these things with these goals that I have? So we are expanding, and hopefully when COVID is over and all this other stuff, I'll have my nice little funky, cool looking shop and so it's named Snipes. Because you call me Casey Renae. So I used to be Casey Renae. But what happened was that felt like a freelance situation and people were expecting freelance situation money. So what happened was my last name, because Kayla and me, you know, we went to high school, so everybody would call me Snipes. Nobody called me Casey. Snipes, if you look at advertising agencies, there's Wyndon and Kennedy, there's Gray, there's Bruner. It's all white men last name. And I was like, well, I got a last name that's strong that people don't know what I look like. So I was like, all right, if I'm going to go for corporate deals and all this other stuff, I just want you to look at the work. So that's why I ended up switching to Snipes because all the heavy hitter agencies are just white men last names. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, like it is what it is. They do great work, but that's what it is, you know. Ogilvy, like their last names. So I was like, I want in. So that's why I went ahead and changed it to Snipes. I meant to tell you that earlier when you had said it, but
now that's a jump.
Look at you brand strategizing yourself. Come on.
That's a jump. So how can people connect with you on Instagram or Facebook or any of your social media?
Snipes Design Agency, and also I am Casey Renae, Renae, and then LinkedIn is Casey Renae, and then that's the website is snipesdesignagency.com.
Okay. All right, Stream Chasers. Well, that was Casey Renae on Know Your Worth. That was our second episode on Know Your Worth. So you got it on your 9 to 5. Now you got it on your freelance hustle with Casey Renae and Snipes Design Agency. You can catch this podcast on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all the places. www.streamchasers.work, because Stream Chasers do the work, and you just got paid.
Just got paid.
Dub did it.